Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I am doing a podcast today, so not a video, but I will be doing a video either tomorrow or the next day if time allows and I can do it. So yeah, today I am jumping in and just doing a really quick one. I'm continuing my cold hard truth of the sign series. So we're talking heavy and dark and real and raw, and I'm going to try and keep this one really, really tight, as a Scorpio would like it to be, straight, sharp, and straight to the point. So if you haven't seen my dark side and light side series of the Zodiac, please just scroll through the videos that I have done before, and you will come across it. So let's get on with it. Today, the dark and the light of the Scorpio really is these guys, for me personally speaking, and all of these videos are all coming from my own perspective. I didn't read it. No, it's all in my life, what I've learned from them. And I've learned more from this sign than any other sign. You know, these guys are such good teachers and also teach us, we learn from people about what not to do. So we learn how to do something by watching someone do something right. And then we learn from others that are doing it completely wrong, or maybe they're not aware of it, which I think most of the time is the case, but we do learn what not to do from other people. And I've learned a lot from this sign, and I am right on the cusp of Scorpio and Sag myself. So, it does come from perspective of self-assessment. And what is spirituality without, understanding that spirituality is mastery of the self. So if you're not committed to self-improvement or self-awareness, then, the fuck are you doing here? So, yeah. And I think it's like, that's the whole point about this sign, is that we have to just understand that this is a very, very dark and powerful, and can be a very, very dangerous sign. The Scorpio energy is lava, or it's a volcano. It might appear, the Scorpion might appear to be very controlled on the outside, and, the silent type that you would see in the back of the room with their arms crossed, watching people, assessing everything, measuring everything in the room, assessing where the power is, understanding things. That's the Scorpio. And that scorpionic stare is legendary. These guys can outstare and outplay anything. With a glance, they could destroy you. With the mere look, these guys can do so much storytelling. They really can. It really is an energetic shift of power that no other sign really kind of has. They are mesmerizing, and they are terrifying at the same time. And I've had a lot of trouble with the Scorpions in my life. But their resilience is really what draws me to them. This is a very strong sign. If there was a nuclear apocalypse or a nuclear fallout, this sign would be the sign that prevails in survival. These guys find a way, and this sign does the work. Okay, like a light-sided evolved Scorpio understands that if you want to get bigger, you have to lift heavier weights. You have to feed the body. If you want to take it higher, you've got to push harder. They understand. This sign has an intensity about them that really doesn't have like gears in a car. It's all just one gear, and that's strong, intense, intense, intense. These guys go hard or don't even bother. Bad sex to a Scorpio is just criminal. It's lazy, it's pathetic, and they're not interested in it. This sign wants the real thing. They are here for the real thing. Well, the light-sided Scorpios are, but we will get into the darker side of the Scorpion as well. When I think of Scorpios, I think of them as snakes. A lot of them are very different. There are many different breeds of snakes and how they interact in terms of their way of being. Some snakes are very exotic and they're very beautiful and beautiful colors and shapes, and really just want to be left alone under their rock. They're happy just doing their own thing. It's kind of when you step on the snake, it gets aggressive. And I see a lot of that in the Scorpio, which you probably agree. A lot of them, they just want to be left alone. They are loners, which is fine. But it's that whole, you stepped on me, and sometimes we don't even know. Like, I don't know. I'm so sorry if I have upset a Scorpio, because sometimes we can upset them or step on them and not even know that we have, and then I will know very quickly, because we're going to get the stinger, that the famous sting in the tail. And Scorpios use, for the venom of the snake bite or the stinger of the scorpion, is truth. They use the one thing that no one can refuse, because Scorpio knows, just as I do as a Sag, that it can't hurt you if it's not true. So they will make you face yourself in your own dark mirror and make you see that. Okay, that's how they hurt you. All right, they know your weak spots and they know where it is. They will slice your jugular and you will bleed out on the floor, and they will step over you and get on with their day. Scorpios are very famous for wiping people when they've had enough of your bullshit. If they've taken you in as a part of themselves and you've betrayed them, they see that as a betrayal into them. Intimacy is a Scorpion. Into me I see. That's what they are. So back to the snakes. Some Scorpios are very suffocating. They're very insecure. A very low-functioning Scorpio that hasn't done the work, isn't committed to self-improvement, can latch on to certain people in their lives and trap them. These guys lay traps. Everything a Scorpio does is a potential test. They call it shit testing when you go dating, where it's like the woman will ask a man questions on the date, or the man will ask the woman questions on the date. And very quickly, this shit test will be really just to determine whether this is actually even, how much of this is workable, and where is this going to go? And if they can't receive me, then all of this is just really a complete waste of time, and they're going to be out of there. Bye. So that's how it is. But yeah, some Scorpios are like anacondas. They will eat you head first. They suffocate you, and they don't even know that they're doing it. I think a big part of something I would say, if you are a Scorpio, be aware of that, because I have some in my life that they're just not aware of it, and they enforce themselves into other people's lives on such a level that is nagging and controlling and very manipulative. And if you even compiled like conversations or the behavior and showed that back to someone else, they'd be like, that's really unhealthy. That's really crazy. But to a Scorpio, that's how they are. They don't know any different, but a lot of the time they can be very jealous, very possessive. They don't like change so much. A darker Scorpio will, say, for example, if you have new friends that come into your life and you're trying to build a connection with someone else, they will see that outsider in your life as a threat to their sovereignty or a threat to the strength of their relationship. So they will sabotage it. They will go and probably poison your ear about that person to try and push them away. I've seen that a lot in my life personally, and really low levels. Like the Scorpio, they're like a little spy. Like these guys are spies. They make great assassins and great spies. They can very adaptable and mutable. They can fit into places and, they've got the moves. But, they are very much like, once they find the one, you're the one, and I have no problem with that. I like that. And I actually really prefer that. I would absolutely date Scorpio and make them a life partner, because I know what I'm getting and I'm up for the real thing. But if you're not up for the real thing and you're a really fluffy bunny Libra or a really type A Aquarian, this is not going to be the sign for you. So you step away from them, and they probably wouldn't be bothered with you anyway unless they were fucking you and using you. A psychopathic Scorpio in the world is a very, very scary thing. A lot of the female scorpions, they are bullies. A lot of them don't know what to do with their own power, so they assert themselves over everything. And it's not that they mean to do it. I think it's just that they don't know any other way other than being like that to get their needs met. So the first thing I would say about the scorpion stages is the first stage is the scorpion or the snake, which is what I'm referring to, which is that it really kind of is very insecure. So a lot of them are very jealous, very possessive. They don't ever flirt in front of your boyfriend if they're a Gemini with someone else. That would mortally wound them, and they would make you suffer for it. Okay, this sign is about punishment. They will punish you and they will hurt you. Okay, they will. A lot of sadistic Scorpios enjoy inflicting pain. They have a very complicated relationship with pain. So I would say that just be really careful with, how you treat them. This is the sign that needs utmost respect and treatment at all times. Because when you're in a relationship with them, everything that you do and say and think and feel, and even the energy in your body, is going to be picked up by them. They're going to read that and they can feel that and sense that. So do not mislead them. Do not lie to them. Be real with them. And it's got to come from a place that is very real, okay, and very from the heart, okay? They want the heart of it. And that's why this sign is incredible healers. These guys can really heal. They can do a lot of healing. That once they can get you to receive them, or they can receive you, they'll take you in and they'll slay dragons for you. They'll do whatever it takes to keep you safe, but they'll keep you safe from everything but them. And this is where Scorpio goes wrong a lot of the time, is that they build this world up with you in their head, and then if the other person grows or expands outside of the avatar that the Scorpion has created for them, for that person that the Scorpio is in a friendship or in a relationship, the Scorpio doesn't know what to do with that, because it's like they need you to be what you were at the stage when they imprinted on you or met you. So a lot of them don't like that. They can see you growing as scary. They could see you growing as potentially out manhandling them, or your strength might get stronger than theirs, which makes them feel unsafe. That's why a lot of Scorpios will put people in monetary gain to them. That way that they can always have control over the person's living arrangements, or over the bills, over the bank. So yeah, a lot of that goes on. It's also kind of in their nature, and it is really bad because no other sign can be like as gaslighty as a Scorpio can. They are really they will treat you terribly, and then if you say anything about how they treated you, they'll say the exact same thing that they did to you that you're doing to them. So it's a real head fuck in that regard, and I don't recommend playing games with them. And sometimes they are very scared and they don't know what to do. And yes, their minds can kind of turn in on themselves. Like the Scorpio stinger can go in on itself, and they can sting themselves with their own self-pity or their own self-doubt or their own wounds, because the Scorpion and the Cancer, they keep all of their emotions tightly locked away somewhere like in their mind, like a hallway with little doors, and every memory for each person has, or scenario or situation has this place where they keep that memory and they go back and replay it in their head and revisit it again, very carefully savoring it and analyzing it and Sometimes the memories that are in their heads can kind of become monstrous. If they're avoided, the door kind of like the banging inside that room in their head can get worse and worse if it's neglected. So yeah, Cancer is, an intertidal species which lives in the sea and in the rocks and has its armored shell. And so does Scorpio. They also have the armored shell, and they are an arachnoid. So they need places to go to feel safe. Money makes Scorpio feel safe. Their house makes them feel safe. They need a place that they can recharge and rest and plot and plan and calculate and work out strategies and things like that. When I think of Scorpio, I think of like Count Dooku from Star Wars. He would be a Scorpio. I think of Bellatrix from Harry Potter. I might have mentioned it. She would be a Scorpio. Or, of course, Voldemort, goes without saying. Team Slytherin would absolutely be Scorpio. Obviously Severus Snape from Harry Potter, Scorpio. But yeah, back to the 3 stages. So the 3 stages is the Scorpion, which is coming to terms with its power, the snake, its rebirth. And the second stage is the coming into the eagle, which is gaining perspective, getting up high and seeing situations for what they are and not needing to attack everything around it, and conserving its energy, only flying down to get food or protect ones that it loves. It doesn't need to get in the trough with the pigs all the time and battle it out over stupid shit. The eagle stage of the Scorpio picks its fights carefully and doesn't want to jump into things without thinking it through first. It doesn't need to waste energy on petty nonsense. And then, of course, the final stage of Scorpio, which is the phoenix or the dove. It's seen in India, and that's rebirth. And, obviously Scorpio in the season of in itself is autumn. So it is, everything's going to sleep, everything's dying, everything's shutting down. It's the snake that's gone to a quiet place to shed its skin and accommodate that expansion. So there's many, many rebirths that go on in this sign. This sign is all about death, renewal, rebirth. They're very attracted to the other side. They're very attracted to the occult. They are naturally very intuitive and psychic. So the final stage is all about giving back to the world and being service of the world and mastery of physical objects. They no longer require, lots and lots of things. The final stage of a Scorpio in the Phoenix would be kind of like shave their head and move to India, or open an orphanage, or a real non-for-profit organization that gives money back to people for real and actually helps bring joy into the world and healing. So very few Scorpios really get to that stage, and they kind of change gears. Like sometimes I've seen some Scorpios that I know have been operating in the higher eagle level, and then sometimes they come down into the lower eagle, into the snake level. But that's what it is. They are very cold at times. They can, like a darker Scorpio, they come across very aloof, very stuck up, very cold. The darker side of this sign, let's get into that while we're here, because this is the cold, hard truth. They are a nightmare to deal with. They really just hate you if you don't agree with them. They need you to agree with them. And they will browbeat you until you see things their way. They're very structured in that way, much like the Taurus. I have mentioned before that in astrology, and you probably haven't heard this before, but in the chart, a lot of signs, fingalities and traits cross over from the chart from polar opposites. So there is a lot of Taurus in Scorpio, and there is a lot of Scorpio in Taurus. So these guys are stubborn. They don't let go. They hold on to things. The more that you try and push them, the more that they will not go in that direction. Sometimes their own pride really gets in the way, and the thing that they love most, they trap the most, and they need to loosen their grip and let that little bird fly and stop keeping it in a trapped cage, because they love to trap things, because that way it can't leave them. But understanding that to really love something is to take its best interests into heart, and that may not always be what the Scorpio can provide for that person. So they're a bit like that at times. But they're very deep, and there's a swirling, bubbling pit of lava inside them. You might see the cold, sharded, like obsidian glass, the cold black glass that, their armor that they put up, that front that won't be like broken. But underneath it, they really are just fire, pure fire, a smoldering fire that can just incinerate. And that's why they're very sexual. This sign is very secretive and very sexual, so you don't really get to know them. There's always like breaking through another level, and there's another level underneath that level. Like, they're endless in terms of levels. I've been very obsessed with Geminis and Scorpios for a long time in my life, studying them and trying to understand them. But as you know, I think that the more that you know someone, the more that you don't. I think a lot of the time, as much as we think we know someone, we are a stranger to them and them to us. So yeah, and of course they can be very vindictive. Obviously that goes without saying. So they hold on to grudges. They hold on to things that poison them. They need to learn to let go of things. They'll hold on to their first love or their first heartbreak and, replay it again and again. They're very majestic, and the light there are gentler, fluffy Scorpios. When it comes to the Scorpio, I always want to look at where their Mars is placed, because the Mars will be in conjunction and will really show their personality and how they approach life. Of course, their moon obviously is very important, but where their Mars is placed in the Scorpio's 8th house is really going to determine the how fiery they can be, So this sign is more of a backstage person. They want to understand all of the weaknesses of a business. That way they feel safe when they have something on you, or have something on employees, or they have something around. Like, they've always got to know something that someone else doesn't know, that they can use as ammunition to potentially fight and defend themselves. But yeah, the thing about this sign is that sometimes when they're dark-sided, they close off the world, and it's like the more that you want to give them love, the more they kind of push you away. And this is sad, because a lot of them just don't understand love, and a lot of them are trapped on a loop of materialism and consumerism, and they really don't understand that it's really about the love that you give and the love that you receive in this life and your expansion. It's not who gets to get as many like houses and as much money and trips overseas as possible. That's not the point of life. Without family, I mean, what is life? Without connection, what is life? A lot of Scorpios, the darker sided ones that are very autonomous, very asexual. Some of them don't date. They just push everyone away. And it's a real shame, because if they could just soften and change those neural pathways in their brain, they will taste love. But yeah, they never do. So I think that makes sense. And the lighter sided ones are very flexible, so they will be able to accommodate expansion. But the ones that won't bend, they kind of snap. And this sign has like steel running through its spinal cord. So they're superhuman beings, like beyond regular comprehension. And they know that as a child. I think they realize that they are inherently different, and the way that they think and feels things, they're either going to go into that and understand it and embrace it, or push it away and be like, no, these feelings, oh, yucky, get rid of it, don't want to think about it, kind of thing, which really doesn't serve them very well in the end. But yeah, it's interesting. A lot of them are more pale in their ethnicity. Some of them, they always usually have lighter green eyes, very intense stares. They want to consume you. They want to own you. They want to understand you, but they want to know all about you, but you'll rarely know anything about them. They don't really want to give up information too much because it could be used against them. So, you know, they're always quantifying and evaluating situations, and the sex with this sign is so intense and so good that it could potentially ruin your sex life for other people if you know, outside of the Scorpio. So I will say that. And of course, it's all in the mind. So it's got to be kinky. It's got to be dirty. It's got to be hot. It's got to be of emotions. It's got to be real. No pretend. Like this sign would be like the dominatrix kind of thing. You know, like I said, inflicting pain or giving pain, or, you know, that type of thing. A lot of them do porn. They have no problem with that. So yeah, I think I hope this all makes sense. If you're a Scorpio out there, let me know in the comments below what you think. Did I get it right? Is there anything I missed? I just wanted to keep this video a little bit more tight, but this is the cold hard truth of Scorpios. Don't fuck around with this sign. If you're not up for the real thing, you stay away from them, okay? And also, if you are a Scorpio, you need to learn to let go of things and stop holding on so tightly, because you'll crush it, and that's not good for you. It's not good for other people around you. So, you know, practice being flexible, practice being gentle, Scorpio. That's what I would say. You don't need to trap people in debt to you to keep them around. People should want to be around you because they enjoy your company and they enjoy being with you because they like you, not because of what you buy them or can give them. That's not real. And you know that you can't sustain something that isn't real, Scorpio. So stop pretending. But yeah, anyway, I'll leave it here. That was the bit of truth on the Scorpio. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you found this insightful. If you've got a Scorpio person in your life, then forward this video on to them, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.